jackass. Be a legalist. What is a legalist, you may ask? Legalism is the art of following the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law. Let me give you an example. So you're driving into work one day. It's a brisk fall morning. It's pretty dark. You got your big mug of coffee next to you. You're listening to your music. You're really enjoying your drive in. And you see this school zone little banner with these two little yellow lights that are blinking on top and bottom. Now, the speed limit normally is 45, but it's a school zone, so you're supposed to slow down to 25. So you do so, and you drive on through. The next day, you're doing the same thing. And you're driving, you're having a good time, and you see those lights. But you have a sibling in the school that is around those lights, that those lights are intended for. And you happen to know that sibling is out of school. And you happen to know, because you talked to that sibling and you've talked to your parents, that the whole school is out. No one's at the school. But for some reason, those lights are still flickering. Up and down, blinking. So, you say, okay, I know no one's in that school building. The reason that law exists is so that I don't flatten or pancake a child, and I don't want to do that, obviously. So, going 25 when that is the case and there are children running around who are reckless, yeah, absolutely. That makes sense to me. But when they're not there, that possibility of running over a child from that school is not there. So why would I ask, should you get pulled over for going 45 in that situation? That's legalism to me. See, this is just an example. Don't worry, folks. It's just an example. But imagine you're going 45 and you hear wee wee behind you and you get pulled over. And the officer says, "Oh, you're going 20 in a school zone." If you replied by saying, "Yes, officer, but there's no one in school," I don't know how well it would go for you, but I do genuinely feel like that is a legitimate excuse. I think you should be able to argue your case and say, I understand that I was going 20 over because I was going 45 in a school zone 25. I understand that. But the whole reason that law exists is so I don't run over a kid. And I don't know. I guess the thing is, legalism pisses me off because the spirit of the law is don't run over children. I can get behind that all day. But the reality of the law when there's no children there is that, well, the whole point for which that law was intended is not there anymore. So things could go back to how they were normally. Like go 45 and that 25. I just think that's reasonable. And it pisses me off. I don't think I like legalism in any sense. It's like when you get people that are so like anal retentive about a game that you're playing that, they stick to the rules so hardcore that when there's a slight deviation that has nothing to do with how that game's going to end, they just get all up in arms about it. It's like, I don't know. The legalistic side of things I'm not a big fan of. So anyways, this is my rant. I hate legalism. I think it's pretty bullshit. I think it completely destroys the integrity of a law. The law exists for the spirit of the law, not just the letter. Now, if you've ever heard of the movie Les Mis, there's a part where like the main guy steals a loaf of bread, and then he gets like 19 years in prison because stealing equates to 19 years in prison or whatever it is. And like that's just how I feel. It's why would you get pulled over? It's like imagine you're on a vacation and you're driving back home and you're 5 minutes away from your house. So you've driven this area time and time again, thousands of times. And it's 3 a.m, okay? It's 3 a.m. It's been a long trip. And you come to this 4-way stop sign stop, okay? But it's flat and you can see all around it. And it's 3 a.m. So there's hardly going to be anybody out, but you do look, and you can tell because you've driven it thousands of times that there's no one coming up to the stop sign. So regardless, you would have right away. So, okay, you don't fully stop. You don't fully you don't roll. It's not a rolling stop. you kind of tap and go. You hit the stop sign, you tap and go, and all of a sudden you get pulled over. And the officer's like, I saw you run that stop sign. And you say, officer, I know that you mean well, and I need you to know that I mean the same. I have driven this thousands of times, and I understand why the law exists. It's so that people don't crash into each other, and so people don't just run through and crash into one another. But I've driven this place thousands of times. It's 3 a.m, and I could see for a mile each way that there was no one coming. So I was going to have right of way. So instead of just fully stopping, I rolled through. And I do feel like that is a genuine excuse. Anyways, this is probably not going to look great on my record, but I just thought I'd share with you all. I think legalism is kind of bullshit, and it should be gotten away with. And I do think a lot of cops are actually very good with this, and they do follow the spirit of the law more than the letter. But every now and then, there are people out there, not just cops, but like people out there in general, who are so strict as to the letter of the law that they forget why the law was really there, what it was intended for. But legalism, let's get away with it. That's all I got to say for this section of the podcast, Reuben Rants.